Hey, people. Sorry I am late. Woo, it's a lot of you here. Hello, everybody. Hey, author Lauren Adele. I see Lauren Nettles is here. Hello. Hey, Brother Grayson. Um, hey. Again, I apologize for my lateness. I underestimated how long it would take me to eat the pizza that I randomly ordered. Um, so look, I don't even know if this is considered writer's water club right now, but I have beverage that is water. So, I mean, hey, I am your host, Porscha Simmons, the host of your writer's water club. Um, oh man, so I have been gone since. Thank you. It was delicious. I am obsessed with Domino's thin crust now. Um, just I'm not even a huge pizza person, but somebody recommended it to me, and I was like, everything that I didn't like about pizza, all the really super doughy. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, all of that solved with the super thin crust. Okay. Um. Anyway, I have been gone since the end of February. So I felt like I was like, I'm eventually gonna have to tell the people something, because I have not been here, and I was like, I need to discuss um, chicken and mushroom, and we're going to talk about. We will eventually talk about Domino's disability tax, as I like to call it, since the since they've upcharged $1 on everything that you want delivered. So the $5.99 pizza deal is $6.99 if you need it delivered, which people are like, oh, it's $1. And I'm like, yeah, but people with disabilities, chronic illnesses, mobility issues that are not in a position to go and pick up their pizza, it's a disability tax. But we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that conversation. Hey, cool gamer. Hey. Um. Okay. So the last time I talked to you guys, um, I was talking about going on a solo writing retreat, taking myself on a writing retreat, and how I want to do a writing retreat like 4 times a year, which is still the case. So, starting from the beginning, I did the stream the night that I got to the solo retreat. I streamed from the hotel, had a blast on the writing retreat. It was amazing. It's something I absolutely am going to fit into my budget, into my schedule, to go off and to write and do the whole thing. Hey, Mama Maggie. So that's a thing that's still going to happen. Now, what happened while I was on the retreat, and sorry y'all, if y'all can see this box, I had to do something. I needed floor space earlier for a somatic seminar, so that's why there's stuff on the floor and pillows and stuff, because I had to actually lay on the floor for part of a somatics seminar. So that stuff just ended up being moved. But in any case, while I was on my solo writers retreat, I went into a massive flare. For those of you who don't know, I think everybody here is like regulars of mine. I have psoriatic arthritis. I get these really horrible pain flares, that pretty much, it's, if you can imagine having whole body pain that's like a 9 or a 10 on the pain scale, and you just can't do anything. And it can affect different organs in your body. So your body is doing weird stuff. Sometimes it's your lungs, sometimes it's other stuff. It's a mess, right? So my last night at the solo retreat, had a massive pain flare. Had to call my parents to come get me. It took me to the emergency room. I did not have to stay in the hospital this time, luckily. I feel really blessed that I didn't have to stay in the hospital, because that's what typically happens. They were able to get my pain to a manageable level and release me. And at that point, I just needed a break for my body and my mind. There was a lot going on, and I just needed a break. I put on Instagram that I was going on hiatus. Typically, if I'm going on hiatus from the channel, It's a planned hiatus, and I know when I'm leaving, when I'm coming back. I just needed some air. I needed some air. I needed some space. I just needed to just get my mind and my body together. In that time, what I did do was I have been teasing for like a year that I'm going to do a disability newsletter. That disability newsletter has started. You can link below, read the first installment of Chronically Porscha, which calling it a disability newsletter is just shorthand. It's basically, it is my journey through disability and creativity together as they intersect. So all of that stuff, it will eventually be a once a week publication, but because I'm still trying to straighten out some health matters, right now it's looking like roughly every 2 weeks or so. But check that out, subscribe, it'll come directly to your inbox. Link down in the underneath it, as I call it. Thank you so much, Grayson. I appreciate you. So yes, it was amazing. The retreat itself was amazing. I still plan to do it every 3 months. So by this time I need to sit back. There was a lot going on, not just in my health wise, but as far as me wanting to change directions. I've been thinking about this for a long time. I absolutely adore the Writers Water Club. I adore all the people in the Writers Water Club, that we come and that we can do a little bit of writing and a whole lot of chatting. And I love the whole thing. I love hanging out. I love touching base. I love streaming. This will not be my last stream. Definitely. I still have other streams planned. I have other pre-recorded content planned that I'm going to do. I do not know the fate of the Writers Water Club, and I'm going to, in its current iteration, and I'm going to tell you why. When I came to Authortube, because I didn't even know that was the name of it. When I came to YouTube, it was not my intention to be a part of Authortube specifically, as it were. My intention was to do some streams, some pre-recorded content, and do other things, other parts of my creativity, talk about a lot of my writing. Yes, I wanted to talk specifically about my life as a poet. I wanted to talk specifically about disability stuff. I wanted to talk about painting and journaling, and, you know, later on talk about music stuff. All of the things that make up how I interact with my creativity is things that I wanted to discuss, right? And I'm sorry, I'm trying to get the camera together because having to change the angle when I've had to lay on the floor earlier from my workshop kind of threw everything out of balance with my camera. But the plan was never to be an author tuber, and that is no disrespect to Authortube or author tubers. It was not my intention, and it was not what I wanted. And then it took off, and I was having fun until I wasn't having fun, if that makes sense. And I increasingly wanted to do something different than the writing sprint format, which can be helpful. But a couple things started to happen. I wasn't getting any work done in my own sprints because having to produce the stream and the show, and I'm reading comments, and I'm picking up timers, and I'm doing all the things. And all of this is, you know, me, myself. I wasn't getting anything done. So now it has gone from a productivity sprint for me with an audience and with friends and with camaraderie. It has gone from that to, hey, SM Ryan, thanks for hanging out. So it has gone from a productivity sprint for me with you all, with people here, with company, with, you know, but it has gone from something for me to something that I now produce, and something that I now do for the audience that I don't get anything out of. So, because I'm not able to produce during my productivity sprint because I'm so busy doing the background and so busy bringing the Porscha show and the Porscha experience to the stream that I'm not getting anything productive done. And I'm so worried that I can't get into a good groove because I have to, because I have to wait for the thing to ding and then I have to, it's as somebody who has performed, done poetry, been in plays, done stuff, being in a performance headspace and being in a productivity headspace to write and do the behind the scenes stuff, whether that's essay stuff, poetry stuff, in the actual performance aspect of it, in the production aspect of it, those are 3 different mindsets. So trying to get stuff done while I'm producing a stream was not working for me. But I was still enjoying it. I was enjoying talking to everybody. That's when, if people noticed the subtle change of the tagline became a little bit of writing, whole lot of chatting, because, okay, I'm getting some writing done sometimes, but it takes the pressure off for me to get any writing done because we're doing glorified chat streams at this point. Fine, great. I'm showing you stuff that I'm buying. I'm showing you notebook stuff. We're talking, we're laughing, we're having a good time. I just didn't want to do that format anymore. I didn't want to run sprints anymore because everybody was running sprints. Everybody is running sprints because writing sprints are helpful and productive, and there's zero wrong with that. So I don't want anybody who that's their bread and butter and that's what they do. This is not airing anybody out about the fact that you're running writing sprints. It's me saying that's not what I came to do, and that's what I ended up doing, and I wasn't being true to myself, and I wasn't being true to what I wanted in becoming a channel that only produced writing sprints every week. So I had to do some thinking. Because of the chronic fatigue and the chronic pain, I have limited amounts of energy and limited amounts of time to, at certain points, to do what it is that I wanted to do, and to spend that energy and that time doing something that wasn't serving me. I didn't feel good about it. So when I took my hiatus from March onward, which I wanted to come back at the beginning of April, and then other things happened. But I've been trying to figure out what feels true to me. And while I've been trying to figure out what feels true to me and my brand, and I don't like that word because I'm just, at the end of the day, I'm a writer. I'm a writer. I'm a poet. I do words. I do creativity. That's what I do. I'm not an influencer. I don't desire to be an influencer. I don't want to, I don't make content. I don't, I write. I write words. I perform words. I occasionally even sing words, but I'm not an influencer or a content creator or any of that other stuff. I don't want to do that. I don't want to have a brand. I don't want, right? So I found myself engaging more with what I didn't want than what I did want. The newsletter feels authentic to me. There's a couple projects I can't quite speak to yet that feel true to me. The Writers Water Club, in the iteration that it was, no longer felt good to do. I enjoyed the interaction. I enjoyed talking to people. And I said, well, will people come around if I just talk about creativity and the process and not make it a writing stream per se? Like, we do the writing in the rest of our lives, and then we come here and we talk about the process. And we talk about the good and the bad. We talk about the intersections of our creative lives, because I'm not the only one here who has chronic illness. I'm not the only person here who has other stuff going on in life that may affect the process of creativity, right? So I said, will people come and just have the conversations. If I'm doing some recorded content, some video showing you all what I'm doing, and then we come and we can chat about stuff. And as I was trying to consider if that was a format that was bankable, and by bankable, I mean, will people show interest? Will people come? Will people interact with it? I said to myself, I said, I'm doing a disservice to myself by continuing to think of this as content creation. I don't want to be a content creator, so I can't think like a content creator, like, will people want to come to this? It's like, build it and they will come. You know what I mean? I had to kind of change my thinking. In the midst of changing the thinking, and thank you, Lauren Adele, and I do see the comments. Thank you so much. In the midst of all this thinking, a lot of stuff happened behind the scenes. And I'm not going to go super in depth about a lot of specifics, but you all are on YouTube. You all are on the Authortube corner of the internet. So I think everybody has seen things play out in real time or in close to real time. I will say that my experiences with Authortube have been unique. Outside of my own channel, there have been things that I have loved. I have met people that are now my writing family. I see Grayson is helping me in the chat right now, and I appreciate you so much, brother. I love you. Like, I have found a family here, and people that I don't know if I would have met otherwise. I am going to be on one of Michael C.B. Chin's streams for Writertown Junction, which is also linked down in the comments. And that's going to be on Saturday night. I've met people and had opportunities to do things and to meet people from different walks of life in different time zones, in different places. And that was wonderful, especially with the pandemic and being so isolating. And, you know, people that aren't just necessarily in my town or in my state, that once things shut down and I couldn't go to my coffee shop, and you know, that was great. With that came things that were not so great. I like being a smaller channel in the sense that I feel safe. I created a space where I feel safe, or as safe as you can feel on the internet. And I feel like I'm talking to my people, talking to my friends, whether I'm showing you all the incense I bought or this funny joke, or to giving you my commentary on, like, we talked all summer about the zebras that were loose in DC, where I'm from. I mean, that's what I want to do, and that's who I want to be, you know, where I can just come and be myself. And for the amazing experiences and some of the amazing people that I have met on Authortube, Authortube is also a supremely segregated space. Extremely segregated. I know for a fact that if it wasn't for certain crossover activities or events that I've been featured on, that there are people that are in the comments that still would not know that I exist because of how segregated Authortube can be. And I feel like it's a topic that exists and we all can see it and we all know that it's there, but there's this pressure to not talk about it, especially if you are a creative of color. If you're a authortuber of color, if you're a Black authortuber, the pressure is on you to not talk about the fact that this is a supremely segregated corner of the internet. And I get that we're in a socio-political climate where it's, you know, what isn't a segregated space, but it's exactly Lauren Adele wouldn't have found me without CGL. And I get it, but it's it's one of those double-edged swords of CGL presented me to a wider audience. And when I say wider, because I had my in real life people that would come to my streams that I had written with in real life. And I had the people that I met that were mostly Black and PLC. But you know, I got this crossover appeal from CGL, but then it's the burden that comes with being a crossover, and I use the word crossover artist somewhat facetiously, but it's almost like people who are like a certain type of music. So say that you love rock music and your favorite rock band, now they have crossover appeal and now they're making like this rock pop music that you may or may not like. Or, you know, crossover brings pressures. And thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Crossover brings pressure. And among that pressure is to continue to stay quiet and be sufficiently humble and thankful for the opportunity you're given, which is this wider audience, right? And I just couldn't do it anymore, y'all. I couldn't do it. When things went down at CGL, when the fire, you know, started, and when the whole thing imploded, there was a lot that went on behind the scenes. And trust me, this stream is not only about that, so I'm not going to dwell. But what I will say is, I do think that I deserve to have my say about situations that affect me. And I don't think that it's dwelling for me to say that I had some experiences over there at CGO that were less than favorable, that were less than welcoming, that were, you know, and it doesn't mean that the whole experience was bad, because it wasn't. But it was, there were things that happened over there that shouldn't have happened. There were things that should have been handled differently. And with those things happening the way that they did, it reiterated to me as a Black creator that there's, even within the crossing over and having a larger audience, the price to pay to get and to maintain that was a price that I wasn't willing to pay. It just was a price I wasn't willing to pay, to be exposed to certain behaviors that I'm supposed to turn a blind eye to, that people that are in positions of leadership chose to turn a blind eye to, for the sake of getting more subscribers. I'm not monetized, right? As most of you know, I'm not monetized. So it's basically stress, drama, and trauma for nothing. Like, you don't get any big payoff, because what's happening is, yeah, you get more subscribers, but you get subscribers that you may or may not be able to trust. So you're exposed to a bigger audience, but within that being exposed to a bigger audience, it comes at the cost of your comfort and quite literally your safety. If you're a person of color, if you're a Black person, if you're a Black woman that's being put into positions of danger, if you're being put into positions where the narrative is, how can I say this? The narrative around you and what you do and what you bring to the table isn't accurate, right? When things blew up at CGL, there was conversation about, well, you know, when things happen and you can't please everybody. And that's true. That's true. You can't please everybody in any situation. But when you come and you get people from one situation, when you come and get people who've created their own safe space on the internet, as safe as the internet can be, and they've created something, and you come and get them and you put them in this crossover situation and you put them in a burning building and don't protect them, you put people in a really awkward position. So two things were happening at once. My health is continuing to go off the rails. And then the added stress and trauma of everything that's going on with CGL, right? It was just a perfect storm. I'd already decided that I was taking a hiatus for health reasons and to figure out the direction that I wanted this channel to go in, because I didn't want to do Authortube as usual. I didn't just want to do writing streams because everybody does them. And everybody does them because they're wonderful and they can be a great tool. But if they're a literal playlist full of people that's what they do, and you can go to them once, twice, 3 times a week. Like, speaking of my love of writing streams, HK Darkwood, everybody knows. I think HK Darkwood is amazing. So, and I still go to her sprints. So it's not, I don't want anybody to feel like take out of this the attack of people that are doing sprints. I still go to other people's sprints. But for what I wanted to create, I didn't want it to be that. I felt a lot of pressure to keep going with what was working, especially because I had a lot of new audience and I had a lot of audience that built up pretty quickly. I felt pressure to keep going with what was working. I felt pressure to be a proper author-tuber when Authortube never supported me. And when I say Authortube, I'm not talking people, because there have been specific people who've supported me. I will always say Kate Kavanaugh has been amazing to me. She highlighted my channel when I had way less than 100 subscribers. She's been amazing. There have been individual people who have been amazing. There's also been people who have come and taken, not just from me, but have taken from BIPOC folks in general, to create content, and not just to create content, but to create, dare I say, a look. Because what better way to look like you absolutely, undoubtedly value diversity than to have BIPOC people around you and with you and in your content? It looks good. It looks good. It's, but you have to consider how you're going to treat those people, and you have to consider how you think of those people, and you have to consider if you're hanging out with those people or in their streams or commenting on their videos because you like what they bring to the table and what they offer, or if it's because it looks good, like, yeah, like, I don't want to be the Black friend on Authortube. I don't want people to subscribe to me just because it looks good. I don't want people to be in my streams because, see, I don't only, hang out in the streams of white creators. I hang out in Porscha's stream too. I don't want to do that. And I don't want what I provide to be something that it is just to check a box, fill a quota. Tokenism, exactly. I don't want to be a token. I don't want to be, I certainly don't want what I have to offer to benefit somebody else more than it benefits me. I absolutely don't want to be, I know what I have to offer, and that is truly not from a place of being cocky, and that's truly not from a place of ego. I know what I have to offer. I have been a writer for a long time. I have worked in publishing. I've worked in marketing. Hey, whoa. I have done things, in and around publishing outside of, before I even knew there was an Authortube. I've been a published writer, and I've done different things, and I've had all kinds of jobs as a writer. I've been, an editor. I've been a slush reader. I've worked with literary magazines. Like, I've done the work. And I know that I deserve better than to come here and to be used for content, for views for other people, and to be used to build communities that don't serve me, you know? And I deserve better than to be put in situations where people want to work with me because they have a literal list of Black creators that they have done collabs with. And it looks good on them to add me to that number. I deserve better than that. And I'm not willing to, I'm just not willing to play that game, y'all. Long and short of it is, I'm not willing to play that game. And I didn't think I was going to talk about this until the whole Jennifer Beck situation came about. I don't know if you all are familiar with Jennifer Beck, who wrote the book Bad and Bougie about trap feminism, which is pretty much a white woman PhD, wrote a book and got paid a lot of money through a university press to write a book about something that she had absolutely no experience in, could have no experience in. But she got paid a lot of money to write this book that was just not it. Not only did she get paid a lot of money to write this book, if you flip that on its head, that means that Black women with equal or more education, more expertise in that area did not get the book deals to write these books. So there's that. So it's just, I've been thinking a lot about what I want to represent and what I want my legacy to be, and how I want to do my creativity on and off of the internet and on and off of YouTube. And I'm just not willing to fit myself into a certain mold in order to be successful at this. I don't want it that bad. I'm okay with not having it. And quite honestly, I don't know if Authortube in general is really even designed for people like me. When I originally came here, I said, I see so many fiction writers. I see so many fiction writers. I love you all. I love fiction writers. I love reading fiction, but I was like, I'm not a fiction writer. I'm a poet. I'm an essayist. I don't see poets and essayists by and large on Authortube. There might be a few, but I don't see people who are writing poetry. I don't see people that are writing essays really prominently featured. That's what I wanted to do when I first came on. I was like, I see a niche. I see a niche. I see a need. We're not having a lot of conversations around poetry. When I'm going places on Authortube, when I'm going places, and looking at prompts, it's always fiction prompts, which is why I absolutely adore doing the last stream I did with Michael C.V. Chan, because we did a poetry stream. We wrote poetry, but it's not, I don't see a huge amount of that. That's why one of the first things I did when I came to Authortube was the poetry and productivity streams, which there's a playlist if you want to look back for that, at that. Because I made what I wanted to engage with. Somewhere along the line, I no longer felt comfortable to make what I wanted to engage in. I felt like I had to shoehorn myself into what was expected, because there's a pressure on Black and POC creators to fall into line. There is a pressure to not speak about, there's a lot of pressure not to talk about a lot of things. And exactly what Grayson is saying about BIPOCs can't speak about our experiences openly. We have to water our emotions down and cautiously speak our truths. And that's the truth. Like, for me, I wanted to just come on here and say, I didn't want to be used anymore. I didn't want to be traumatized anymore. I didn't want to have to deal with racism anymore. And I didn't want anybody to make that about their feelings. I didn't want anybody to, make my choices and what I choose to present for content about how it makes them feel. Because it's not personal to anybody, but I felt like people were taking it personal. And you know, thank you, Laura Nettles. And I'm fangirling because Laura Nettles is on my channel. Like, I absolutely love you, Laura. It was so fun to co-host with you Worldwide Writeathon on Grayson's channel. That was absolutely amazing. So saying that to say, like, I have no love lost against Authortube. I'm gonna be in Writertown Junction with you all. Please come hang out with me and Michael C.B. Chin. I'm not opposed to being on Worldwide Writeathon the next time that comes around. These are things that I still love, but I have to do what suits me. And some of this stuff just doesn't suit me. And some of how I was treated behind the scenes was absolutely deplorable, if I'm honest with you. If I'm honest with you, I don't know if I'm more upset with some of the treatment that was received or how that treatment was overlooked in the name of, I'm not sure if it was in the name of producing better content or if it was, to go along to get along, but I just wasn't, you know, I just wasn't feeling it, So like, oh my God, Lord, I know. But this is who I am. Like, I'm silly and, I'm silly and I like to have fun and I love chatting with everybody. And that's just what I like to do. And I feel like there's a weight lifted off of me that it doesn't have to be, that I don't have to break for a sprint, that I don't have to say, okay, I've been talking for 30 minutes and I feel like we should sprint now. So I I don't know. I just, this is not polished. I didn't write a script. Where I have been is I've been reevaluating, but I've also been, as my mom would say, knowing my value and adding tax. I mean, I just know my value. And I think that it's important to say, because even now I'm like, I don't want to come across cocky. I don't want to come across egotistical. But, I think it's important, just especially as, as women and femme identified people, I think as Black and brown people, I think it's important to be like, I know what I'm worth. I know what I'm worth, and I'm going to add tax. I know what I bring to the table. I know what my potential is. I know that I have these amazing ideas, and I'm not going to put myself into situations that stymie or that, put me in a position where I'm going to lose part of who I am or where I have to endure things that don't suit me. I don't want to I'm so excited. I'm not on that stream, but I'll be watching that stream from the audience. I also want to try to write 24 poems in 24 hours, which is a really bad idea because if I don't get enough rest, my pain kicks up. So I don't know if I will actually do that, but that's an idea that I had. But part of me is like, stay up the whole 24 hours, write 24 poems in Writertown Junction, do a vlog about it, and then like go back to, taking, I don't know, I'm sure I have some high-powered pain medicine around here somewhere. Like, make sure that you have your prescription filled and then just do all the things. Go balls to the wall. Go balls to the wall, write your 24 poems in 24 hours. That is amazing. I actually do want to do some nonfiction content. because I really enjoy the essay process from beginning to end. So I actually do plan to do some essay in nonfiction content and just how I do things, how I break things down, because I'm a little non-traditional. I don't outline, as it were. And I also have been using a lot of dictation lately when I'm having pain and having trouble sitting up, or when I'm having pain in my hands. So I'm not typing as much. So I would love to do a video on how I put all those elements together from my essay stuff. Yes, I want to stay up the entire 24 hours. 24 poems in 24 hours. What? It's crazy. It's the craziest idea I've ever had. I'm excited. I think it'll work. Speaking of poetry, there is no link in the down bar yet because I have not created the actual event, because I have not created the flyer. I am having a poetry reading on April 30th to finish out National Poetry Month, which is this month. April is always National Poetry Month. So look out for that. It'll probably be sometime like between 8 and 10 p.m. So information for that will be going up really soon. So basically what I'm saying is I'm here, I'm around. We are taking a really long break from me doing writing streams. I am jumping into a lot of poetry content and essay content. I am writing disability newsletter. I am talking about creativity and disability. Yes, I am probably going to end up putting up I'm going to end up putting up a sign-up sheet, I believe, like a virtual sign-up sheet. Now, with that saying, I will say this one caveat. I do have a lot of people that I want to bring in to read, because I do want to bring different perspectives, different folks that are not Authortube people, that don't really get any shine. So I want to introduce some folks that are new. So what I will say is the plan is, if the if the list is not full by then, to make a sheet where people can sign up. That is the plan. So if that does not happen, I don't want anybody to be offended, because it might fill up before I have a chance to actually open the list to other people, because I have some voices I really want to bring. Horror poetry, invoke dread through poems versus prose. You know what's funny? I have not written horror poetry. I have messed around with more science fiction-y poetry, science fiction fantasy poetry. So it's not really horror, so it's not like, ooh, so much dread, but I've done a lot of speculative poems. So I'd be interested in doing a little horror. Yes, I'm really, really excited. And I'm so glad that this did not become like a thing, because I was like, oh no, I said the word racism on Authortube, so I thought I was going to be crucified and burned at the stake when I came on here. But everybody has been wonderful. Now we will see. Once people who are not awake this late have had a chance to see it, we'll see what happens. But my poetry always reads more like free form or prose. And that's okay, because prose poetry is a whole subgenre in poetry. Some of my favorite poets have done, and I'm sorry, I'm scratching my face, it's allergy season, and the pollen is really, really bad here. So I'm not digging in my nose. My face just itches from the pollen. Because I made the mistake of going outside to get some air, and it's a lot of pollen out. So the pollen got on my face and in my hair. So when I get off of here, I have to go and wash my face again because I'm so itchy. But prose poetry is actually a really popular subgenre of poetry. Nikki Giovanni, in her last few books, has done a lot of prose poetry, which I am here for. I'm trying to think. I believe Mary Oliver did some prose poetry as well. If you have to dig for treasure to it all. Yes, I am. I'm definitely open to that. I'm definitely open to that. I've been thinking about doing a little bit of podcasting over on the newsletter because it's on Substack. Yes, so they have a podcast feature. Little known fact: in the before times, I did a current events podcast for 2 years. So I love. I love podcasts, so I'm always willing to talk. Um, yeah, love spring, hate pollen. Good grief. I live in Virginia, as you know, outside of DC, so it's pretty much a huge swamp area. So it gets weird, nasty polleny, which I found out that we actually have the highest or one of the highest pollen counts in the entire country. And the reason for that is there was this campaign that was supposed to something to do with trees, and there was a campaign where I think, let me get this straight, one gender of tree was I don't want to say the wrong thing. I think they got rid of a lot of the female trees. One gender of tree, right? Which it's crazy many trees have gender, but they got rid of one gender of tree, like got rid of a lot of the same gender of tree. So what happens is there's some imbalance. Yeah, it was the Washington Post did a whole series about it because there was something that was done to the trees where the male and female trees balance out pollen and allergens or something. There's a thing that happens. I am really not, I'm really not a botanist. I love plants, but there's a thing that happens where the different genders of trees balance out different allergens and pollens and all that kind of stuff. Well, we don't really have that balance here because they've killed a bunch of the one gender of tree without, doing anything for the other. So I think they overplanted, was it overplanted female trees because they don't shed as much or something? It was some beautification project and they overplanted trees that don't shed because it was more sightly, but then it threw off some kind of balance and it created this horrible allergen problem. So there are people that actually come here from other parts of the country that are like, I never had allergies where I lived, and then they come here and it's like, oh my God, it's horrible. My nose is gonna literally fall off my face. Because they did a survey of people for this article. And there were people from all over the country, and they were just like, I just feel like they're like, oh my God, like my whole, it's melting. So it's a thing here. I don't even remember what I was saying, but yes, like really bad for allergies in this area. Yes, very worth it. But I love y'all. I don't want to keep you all too very long. But I just had to come on and just say my piece and just really encourage everybody that kind of knowing where you want to go and what you want to do and speaking freely, and don't let anybody make you feel like you can't do what you want to do and say what you want to say. Life is entirely too short to not do what's going to make you happy and bliss you out. And poetry and essays bliss me out. And at this stage in my YouTubing, doing timers does not bliss me out. So I'm following my bliss. I actually have some pre-recorded videos that I am working on. I don't want to give a date because I have decided that to the very best of my ability, everything that I do, I'm going to make sure that it is closed captioned. I cannot say that I ride really hard for my fellow disability community folks and chronic illness folks if I am not making my content accessible. So that said, I know videos will be a little bit slower until I can figure out the fastest and cleanest way to make closed captions for my pre-recorded videos. So I do have some stuff in the pipeline, but I want to make sure that it's as accessible as I can make it. Until then, if you have not, please subscribe to the newsletter, link down below. Make sure you hang out with me and Michael C.V. Chin on Saturday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Yes, poetry night. So the 30th, and depending on the response to what we do on the 30th, I am thinking about doing like either a monthly or every 2 months poetry night. So don't hold me to that, just an idea that I'm having. But we will definitely be here on the 30th. If you do not follow me on Instagram, please consider it, because that will be the first place that I'll put the flyer when I get the flyer finished. So thank you for hanging out. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for listening. This was really rambly, but I just needed to get it off my chest and explain my absence. And I hope I will be seeing you all on future streams really soon. Love you all. Happy Poetry Month. I will see you all very soon. Bye-bye.